Hi, it's Emily, Booknote Literary Services. I wanted to talk to you about typical, average, and acceptable word counts for your manuscript if you're writing a novel. So I have a few popular ones in front of me. I have Diana Gabaldon's Echo in the Bone from her famous Outlander series, and here I have Game of Thrones. You can see how big this is. Diana Gabaldon's Outlander series books, this one comes in at about 340,000 words, which is a lot. One of her books I think goes up to 400,000 words, and the Game of Thrones book is 292,000, so it's a little bit on the bigger side. My book Fortune Secrets is about 680 pages, and it's 235 to 240,000. Again, a large size, but I write epic novels, series novels. I'm now on the fourth one, so this is my preferred writing style. You have a sort of a trade paperback smaller book, but that's a little bit fatter. Here's The Bourne Identity by Robert Ludlum. The Bourne Identity comes in at 194,000. So a little bit still big for a trade paperback novel. If you're looking at like a James Patterson novel or a Jack Reacher novel, maybe a Danielle Steele, like a romance, smaller paperback that you'd get, at Walmart or Fred Meyer or somewhere, that comes in for $5.99 or $7.99 for a paper novel. The average is about 60,000 to 80,000 words. So most publishers, and let me show you here, there's an older book, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. This one comes in around 70, so it's fairly small, but this is the trade paperback size, but you can see the difference in the, it has a lot to do with how small the print is. The Bourne Identity has really small print. It's hard for me to read even, so they can cram that in here. So, so what do publishers prefer? What's the industry norm, the industry standard? So 60 to 80,000, about average, but really 70 to 90,000 for a romance or a suspense or a mystery. 70 to 90,000, about right. 90's pushing it. Some thrillers can be maybe like a Gone Girl. Those can go around 100,000, maybe a little bit more. So that is what a traditional publisher prefers. You're more likely to be published if your book is in that word count range. Doesn't matter so much the page count, it matters the word count. The word count determines the length of the book. Page count is more about font size, font used, how small the text is. So it really doesn't have as much to do with the word count. A book like Diana Gabaldon's or the Game of Thrones books, these books, so a publisher generally doesn't like a book as large as mine or Diana's because of the fact it costs a lot more to print. So if the more it costs to print, the higher the price of the book will have to be. Readers are less likely to buy a book for $24.95 than they are for a book that's $9.99 or $5.99. And remember, a publisher gets the first cut of the book, there's a middleman, and then there's the author's profit. So the more a book costs, probably the less will sell of that book because it's not as desirable to readers because of the cost, which means they'll make less profit. And even the author can make less profit because so much of that goes to all the stuff in between and the printing costs because there's all the paper in between. So unless you're selling millions and millions or printing millions and millions of copies like Diana's books, where they can do it at the more you print, the cheaper the price, you're probably not going to have a lot of success getting your book taken by a publisher if it's far over, 150,000, especially into the 200,000 range. Very difficult. So in that route, I always suggest self-publishing when you can do whatever you want with your books and keep your art in its original form as you intended it to be. So children's books can be somewhere around 16,000 words, sometimes up to 30,000 for the smaller novels. It really just depends on the genre. So again, if you're writing a novel and you want it to be sold to a traditional publisher and you're over 90,000 words, do what you can to just tweak and edit and cut and tweak and edit and cut. Take out extra wordiness, keep rereading scenes, shorten a page out of every chapter. At one point, this book was over 800 pages. I went into every single chapter. There are 100 chapters. I cut out one page, and that took out 100 pages. And once I did it, I realized what I took out, it didn't change anything to the story. I loved it the way it was, but You want to think about shortening dialogue scenes, every word having its own weight, every sentence having a point, and you want to think about things like taking out too much narrative, too much setting, too much description. Keep your book around 80 to 90,000 and you're going to have the most success. Keep in mind, if you self-publish a large book like this, also you have to buy the copies to sell. So you might be paying $19.99. You might be charging $19.99 for your book, but it might be costing you $9 to print the book, you know. So how much profit do you really want to get? There are a lot of factors to consider. Thanks for watching, and keep up writing, and check out my website, www.booknoteliterary.com.